house about a year ago, and I have been looking since we moved for a bench to fit under our large picture window. I found a few online actually, but prices were insane. All the benches that I saw were thousands of dollars. So the main reasons I was not having success finding one was because one, I was not willing to pay. Two, they had to be imported from overseas, which obviously the shipping costs there are gonna be insane. Number three, they were either designer benches or custom benches that had to be built to fit the space, which once again, just adds up, and we were not willing to pay. The space that we're looking to fill is 18 feet long, which is a large space and requires a very long bench. So I was just hoping that I would one day come across a bench that would fit, or I was just going to try to do something else to fill the space. But one day I was doing my daily Facebook Marketplace search, just casually scrolling, and I came across a posting of a free 15-foot bench. I found a 15-foot bench for free. For free. So you know I'm going to check it out. I hope it works out because this will be great. Free. I mean, come on. We're here. Let me show you guys the bench. There it is. It's very long. Don't mind the color right now because it's going to be reupholstered. But we're taking it home with us. Look how long it is. I went to look at it, and of course this bench is huge. I drove there in my small little car, and obviously I knew that it was not gonna fit. And I really hadn't thought about how I was gonna get it home. I just knew that by any means I was gonna take this bench home with me because it, one, is free, and two, is exactly the measurement that we need. It was literally like it was made for this space. We ended up having to get a U-Haul, which is no big deal. We found the nearest U-Haul, picked it up, and we picked up the bench. We got the U-Haul. We found a 20-footer in the next town over, so we came, got it, and now it's time to go. I mean, it fit the whole bill. The only thing, obviously, is that the bench was not, you know, aesthetically what I was looking for. So the bench immediately became like an eyesore for me, but I knew that going into it. And I was willing to take on a small project to transform the bench into what I wanted it to be. And I really immediately wanted to get started working on it. But of course my procrastination got the best of me. I bought the bench in January, but I didn't end up actually starting to do anything to it until August. So let's talk about the inspiration, because I looked at a lot of different benches online. I did take inspiration from all of those benches. I knew I wanted a darker base wood with a lighter fabric top. The dark walnut stain was really what was speaking to me, and I knew that is the route I wanted to go. Overall, I just wanted to give it a modern update. For the fabric topping, we have a few design stores here where I live. I utilize them to help me with the fabric selection. They have a free 30-minute design consultation for like smaller projects or just things that, you know, don't take up a lot of time. So I figured I would take advantage of that, go and see kind of what fabrics they had, and kind of go from there. After I told the lady what the vibe was, you know, staying really neutral with it, since it is so large, you know, stain resistant was also a key factor when picking a fabric too, because we have nieces and nephews, and if you have any toddlers running around, then you know you need some stain resistant fabric. So once we landed on the 3, she let me take home the 3 swatches, and she emailed me with the pricing. Prices were a little bit steep for what I was willing to pay, and I was not trying to spend a whole bunch of money on just the fabric itself. So me being me, I took the 3 swatches that we got from the design center, and I went to Joann and color matched them with what Joann had available. Joann always has a coupon, and overall I just knew Joann Fabrics would be much cheaper than a high-end, you know, design store. My trip to Joann was very successful. I found a lot of fabrics that matched almost perfectly to what I was given at the design store, and I landed on one that I really felt like fit exactly what I was going for. After much deliberation, I've decided to go with this one. This is the Crypton stain-resistant fabric, and I think this just fits what we're looking for the best. And I think stain resistant is the way to go. I've asked multiple people and they all say they like this one. So we're just gonna go with it and see how it looks. So now that we found our fabric, it's time for us to stain the bench, and the color that I picked was Kona. So like I said, I like the dark walnut look, kind of that rich, dark, deep wood color. It is so beautiful. I love this color. I would definitely use it in probably other spaces in our house too, if we ever need to stain anything. Once we got the stain, we started disassembling the bench. This was my first time staining anything, and once we got started, we saw that the wipe off method for the stain was just not giving us the color that we wanted. So we decided, after watching a few videos, to basically paint on the stain to give us that dark, rich wood color. So that's exactly what we did, and let it dry, and then, you know, did another coat of stain once that first coat was dry too. You know, doing this method did not cover up the wood grain that we were still hoping to keep within the bench. And the bench is very large, so I had to kind of split the staining up into two different sections. So we worked with it upright for 2 coats, and then we flipped it over onto the other side and painted on the stain on the other side for 2 coats too. So this is what it looks like so far with 1 coat. It looks as good as it's gonna get, guys. Then it was time for the polyurethane, which once again, I have never worked with polyurethane, and the videos that I watched were kind of intimidating, but we have some neighbors who are woodworkers, so we consulted with them and asked them which brand of polyurethane they liked, or oil-based versus water-based. We picked their brains for literally everything that we needed to know about using polyurethane. We just did all this work staining this bench. We did not want to mess it up. They said that they recommend using oil-based, so we just ended up getting the Varathane brand as well. The more I started working with the poly, the better hang of it I got. And I think just adding more coats to it made it start to look a little bit better, because my first 2 coats were very streaky and it was not looking good. And I think I needed more poly on my brush when I was painting it on. So there was a combination of things that I think kind of worked to make the poly go on a lot better, and it finally came out really good. So once the poly was done, we could finally just focus on recovering the seat, which is the part that I was looking forward to the most. So now that we actually had our fabric, it was time to reupholster. And once again, this is a video of first, because this was also our first time recovering or reupholstering any type of fabric. So there was definitely a small learning curve, but there's plenty of videos on YouTube that make it super simple and tell you exactly the tools and supplies that you need to get started. So we had a lot of extra fabric lengthwise, because on JoannFabric.com you can only buy to the nearest yard. So I actually had to buy 6 yards when I only truly needed 5.5 yards. We ended up cutting a lot off of the end so that we weren't working with a lot of extra fabric when we were recovering it. Overall, the recovering part was fairly simple. If there was another project that I had to recover, I would definitely do it again. So the bench is now complete, finally. So let me show you the finished result. Enjoyed this video. I hope you are as much in love with the bench as we are. We love how it turned out. We love the contrast of the dark wood with the lighter fabric. We already had the pillows and the blankets and all the accessories that we put on top of the bench. So we're just kind of reusing what we already have. So this was a very affordable project. Overall, it cost about $200, and that was really just for the fabric itself. And we actually had a gift card for that same amount. So really the bench for us was free. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Bye guys!